Hey guys, today we're at Roanoke, the home of one of my most favorite Mississippi writers, William Faulkner. But we're not going to talk about him today. I'm going to introduce you to a lady named Callie Barr Clark. Come along with us. Let's go explore. Caroline is one of those historical figures whose life and influence has impacted our world greatly, and many don't even know her name. In fact, it's even kind of hard to figure out the year in which she was born. Her headstone in the cemetery lists her birth year as 1840, but that was provided by Mr. Faulkner, and he picked it because it was at the end of a decade, sort of an approximation. Mr. Faulkner even said, "We didn't know her age for certain, but she was about 95 when she died." It seems to me some of the best information is given by some early census records. The only census that gives a date of birth was the census of 1900, which states that she was born in slavery in February of 1852. The 1910 census had her listed as being about 55 years old, and that would put her birth year in around 1854 or 1855. After Callie's death, William Faulkner wrote that she was born a slave on a plantation of Samuel Barr in Pontotoc County. She came to Lafayette County into the household of Sam's brother, Hugh Barr, about the end of the Civil War. Fast forward about 30 years, and she came to work for Maud Faulkner, William Faulkner's mother, around 1902. She served as the Faulkner boys' nursemaid shortly after they moved to Oxford. William's brother John thinks she came to their family at the time of the youngest brother's birth in 1907. Callie worked for the Faulkners until her death, all but a brief year when she was married to a guy and they moved to Arkansas. William's dad sent someone to bring her back, and she never again left Oxford or the Faulkners. William bought Roanoke about 1930, and he had a cottage built for his beloved caretaker about that time. Callie lived in this cottage from 1930 until her death in 1940. Though this is the kitchen at Roanoke, Callie shared rich stories with the Faulkner boys in her kitchen and around the home that the boys grew up in. She taught the boys right from wrong, and how to finish a job when they started one, and how to treat other people kindly. As I walk around the yard of her home, I'm just astounded by the impact she would have had on young William's life, and thus his art form, his writing, and by extension her impact on my life. She found her way into William's writing, being the inspiration for the character Dilsey Gibson in The Sound and the Fury, Caroline Nelson in Soldier's Pay, and Molly Beauchamp in Go Down Moses. Today I want to introduce you to one of my favorite Faulkner books, and it was dedicated to Miss Clark, Go Down Moses. Let me read you the dedication. To Mammy Callie Barr, Mississippi, 1840 to 1940, who was born in slavery and who gave to my family a fidelity without stint or calculation of recompense, and to my childhood an immeasurable devotion and love. Caroline was clearly very important to Mr. Faulkner, and he returned the love and devotion that she had shown him and his entire family for most of his life. One story that I read about her death said that she fainted or passed out in this kitchen, and she never regained consciousness. She died a short while later. Here's a picture of Miss Clark and Faulkner's daughter Jill shortly before Caroline's death. This is the parlor in Roanoke, the place where Mr. Faulkner conducted Caroline's funeral. It's also the place of his funeral some 22 years later. I think we'll head out to the cemetery now and pay our respects to Callie there. But while we look around the cemetery, I'm going to read you the eulogy that Mr. Faulkner delivered for Callie upon her death. Caroline has known me all my life. It was my privilege to see her out of hers. After my father's death, to Mammy I came to represent the head of the family to which she had given a half-century of fidelity and devotion. But the relationship between us never became that of master and servant. She still remained one of my earliest recollections, not only as a person, but as a fount of authority over my conduct and of security for my physical welfare, and of active and constant affection and love. She was an active and constant precept for decent behavior. From her I learned to tell the truth, to refrain from waste, to be considerate of the weak and respectful to age. I saw fidelity to a family which was not hers, devotion and love for people she had not borne. She was born in bondage and with a dark skin, and most of her early maturity was passed in a dark and tragic time for the land of her birth. She went through vicissitudes which she had not caused. She assumed cares and griefs which were not even her cares and griefs. She was paid wages for this, but pay is still just money, and she never received very much of that, so that she never laid up anything of this world's goods. Yet she accepted that too without cavil or calculation or complaint, so that by that very failure she earned the gratitude and affection of the family she had conferred the fidelity and devotion upon, and gained the grief and regret of the aliens who had loved and lost her. She was born and lived and served and died, and now is mourned. If there is a heaven, she has gone there. The eulogy was written by William Faulkner in February of 1940. I hope you've enjoyed a look into Callie Barr Clark's life today. Maybe you've discovered some Faulkner books you need to read. I also want to encourage you to consider the impact your life can have on those around you. Thank you.